There's often much debate as to why there's such suffering in the world if there's truly an all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-loving God. Non-believers will commonly say, if there's no God, then there's no need to explain why things do or don't happen, because there's no force for guiding our actions. Christians, on the other hand, believe that through Adam and Eve, sin entered the world. This original sin, as it's called, is the cause of all suffering and death in the world. Let's explore that concept a little further. First, let's begin with the story of Adam and Eve as told in the Bible. Depending on which part of Genesis you read, you'll get a slightly different story. However, the basic story is, God creates many things such as light, water, plants, animals, and so on. On the sixth day, he creates Adam and Eve. A recurring theme during these 6 days of creation is the phrase, God made such and it was very good. However, at that point, a curious thing happens. For some reason, God puts a tree that gives the knowledge of good and evil in the Garden of Eden. Evil? I thought everything was very good. If that's the case, I'm not sure what knowledge of evil there could be, if there didn't exist any evil. However, I digress. God tells Adam and Eve not to eat from the tree, because they will die. Later in the story, a snake tempts Eve to eat the forbidden fruit, and she does. Because of this, God cast Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden. Prior to Eve's rebellion, humans were meant to live forever, in perfection. However, now death and suffering were let into the world. This is why Christians, if they are asked to explain suffering in a world created by an all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-loving God, their answer will inevitably be, the world was free from death and suffering until Adam and Eve allowed original sin into the world. Many non-believers ask the understandable questions. Why did God put a tree there? Why did he create the snake? Why didn't he stop them from eating the fruit? And so on and so on. According to Christians, God loved us so much that he gave us free will. By having no choice, aren't we just slaves to his rule? Is that love? Many people leave the argument there. Who can argue that true love doesn't force itself upon others? Well, before we delve deeper, let's visit another famous story in the Bible, the life and eventual death of Jesus. God's son Jesus, who's really just another form of the same God, is born of a virgin, preaches to disciples, performs miracles, and is eventually sentenced to crucifixion by Pontius Pilate. Why was Jesus crucified? The Bible tells us that both God and Jesus were well aware that this event would take place. In fact, we are told that it's all part of a plan to allow Jesus to die for our sins, thereby removing the barrier between humans and God that was created by Adam and Eve when they introduced original sin to the world. This is the essence of the free will argument. Adam and Eve disobeyed God. God allowed this to happen because he loved us all so much that he gave us free will. However, Adam and Eve's actions created a barrier between us and God. But that's okay because through the sacrifice of Jesus we have a way through the barrier. So where's the problem with this argument? In the book of Exodus, the Israelites are living in Egypt as slaves under Pharaoh's rule. God sends Moses to free the Israelites and lead them to the promised land. Let's look at Exodus chapter 4, verse 21. The Lord said to Moses, "When you return to Egypt, see that you perform before Pharaoh all the wonders I have given you the power to do. But I will harden his heart so that he will not let the people go." In other words, God forces the Pharaoh to do the opposite of what he would have done. In fact, God goes on to repeat, "I will harden the Pharaoh's heart," a total of 13 times in the book of Exodus. But why would he harden a person's heart if he believes in free will? Let's read Exodus chapter 14, verse 4, to find out why. God said, "And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will pursue them. But I will gain glory for myself through Pharaoh and all his armies, and the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord." Did you catch that? But I will gain glory for myself through Pharaoh and all his army. He hardened the Pharaoh's heart and sent plague after plague, killing large numbers of Egyptians so he could show off how impressive he is. He took away someone's free will for an insignificant reason such as self-esteem. And Exodus is not the only place in the Bible where we see this hardening of hearts by God. We also see this pattern in Joshua 11:20, in Isaiah 63:17, just to name a few others. Am I to believe that God allowed Adam and Eve to eat the forbidden fruit, which he knew would lead to such things as death, illness, disease, racism, rape, genocide, child abuse, and every other thing wrong in this world, because taking away someone's free will simply is not an option? Am I also to believe that he would send his only son to be persecuted, beaten, cursed, spit on, stabbed, and crucified, to experience a slow and excruciating death, because again, you must let people have their free will? If so, why would God time and time again purposely take away someone's free will for a reason as childish and petty as making himself look impressive? This pettiness is further emphasized by the first 4 commandments, which speak solely of worshiping God. Believing free will is the cause for suffering in the world due to Adam and Eve, yet believing God took away others' free will means God could have changed people's heart to avoid the fall of creation and not allow suffering to begin with. If the God of the Bible existed, he would be a self-centered God with a Napoleon complex who obviously doesn't love us the way he says and forces us to put him up on a pedestal and obey him. Outside of the Bible, that is called an abusive relationship. And the best thing you can do when you're the victim of an abusive relationship is to cut your ties and leave.